Okay, so video one, protein and supplements that I'm going over. So this is going to address the question, why should I take these? And the supplements that I currently take. So, why should you take these? So, that's a very personal question, and I'll go through why I take the supplements that I do. Um, and then, if you have further questions about it or, what have you, I'm happy to help that. But it's really how you feel like you need certain supplements. And I will say all that with a caveat. Probably 90% of the supplements on the market today are just nonsense. And I don't know. I feel like most of you probably know this too, but the hard part with protein, all the supplements, all the vitamins, like they're not regulated like food is regulated. And so there's a lot of issues with, is that really what's in the product that I take? Now, I know that there's independent organizations that do testing on these vitamins or these supplements. So, and that's just something, you're going to have to go through, and like if there's a supplement that you really feel like you need to take, research how they test it and, people's reviews and things like that. You can take that all into consideration. So, here are the current supplements that I take. So, I take a creatine powder that has collagen in it. I take a whey protein powder. I sometimes I either take that or I will have a shake that has ultra filtered milk, where they're just able to get most of a higher protein content. You've seen these. It's oh man, Rock and Shamrock maybe is one of the brands. Fairlife has a high protein drink. Um, there's some I picked up from Aldi. There's a couple of brands, but it's just ultra filtered milk. The other is elderberry. I've started taking that every day, and then a woman's multivitamin. And then in the past I've taken magnesium at night, but it's something, it's another thing to spend money on that I don't really care to do that. And I know it has been helpful to some people. I just haven't personally really noticed a difference. And I also don't struggle with getting to sleep or staying asleep. So if that's something that you do struggle with, magnesium might be something that you'd want to look into. Okay, so I typically take supplements to help in an area where my nutrition is lacking or it's out of convenience. In a perfect world, I would get all my nutrients from food, but for myself, it's not something I'm able to do right now, and most of these I can't imagine that I would not take throughout my life. So, creatine. Creatine is one of the most researched supplements out there, and it's shown to help with muscle recovery. And I definitely have noticed a difference with recovery. Now, I don't know if it's because my body's adapted to how I'm training now with heavier weights. That could be part of it. But I don't get as sore as much as I did before I started taking it. There's also some preliminary cognitive benefits that might help, like with brain fog and stuff. And that's from what I've read and what I've watched. It's still like not definite, but there's some chatter about that. And what else? Oh, yeah. I just answered that question. And then, and I feel like I've seen a difference. Sorry, I'm looking at my notes. It's like, yeah. And you're like, what? Yeah, what? What? I've noticed a difference in brain fog for me, but it could be a placebo effect. So there's also that. But, I'll pay $20 for that placebo effect because because I do think it's helpful. And that's that. And then, and I'll say, I put a note in here with that placebo effect. Don't forget how powerful the mind can be. And that's like a whole other like video series I'm probably going to do on one day. Because I think a lot of our habits, until we're like mentally like ready, some things I think are not going to change. And this is like a very like almost philosophical conversation. So I don't want to get into that right now but it's always something kind of on my mind. And the psychology of health and fitness. Okay, so my whey protein powder. I struggle sometimes to get the amount of protein that I need daily, especially as someone who doesn't like to eat and who's someone who is very tall. And ideally, I would get all of my protein from lean sources of meat. And one day, I think I'm going to be there, where I'll just prep more meat and have extra meat on my, in my portions, but it's not there right now. But for my breakfast, I do like to aim for 50 grams of protein in the morning. Now, the past like week or so, it's only been probably about 35. But that's my goals personally. Most women, if you're, aiming for 20 to 30 grams for breakfast, it's probably pretty good. And so what I've been why it's changed is I've been starting to do overnight oats, because I'm just trying to think of something quick in the morning to eat, and that I prep ahead and I can just grab it and go and eat it on the way to taking my kids to school. And then I will have that with one of those ultra filtered milk drinks that I talked about, earlier. Elderberry, I believe helps my immune system. And we were taking elderberry gummies for a while with my kids, and then I changed to was it Mary Ruth? Mary Ruth's. It's popular. Like you've probably seen them advertised on Instagram, but like in a dropper, so it's a liquid form. And I feel like I've noticed a difference just the past like 2 weeks that I've taken it, and that I feel like more effective, and I feel like it's helped my kids a lot better than the gummy. So who knows? And then the woman's vitamin, I try to take that every day. A lot of times I'll forget half of it or all of it, because it's four capsules, and I spread them out, 2 in the morning, 2 in the evening. But it's, I think they call it a whole food vitamin, and it's from like, I don't even know, Nature Me, I don't know. But it's like it's a whole food vitamin, I think is what it's marketed as. And it's a little bit pricier, but that's what I take. And I do feel like when I don't take that, with just like colds and illnesses, I feel like I'll feel a difference. How many times can I say in one sentence I feel? Okay. And then what exactly do you need? So ask these questions to yourself. What are your struggle points in your nutrition and your health? Do you struggle to fall asleep or stay asleep? There's some supplements that aid in that. My struggle is protein, and at one point was falling asleep. Once I was able to combat with supplements, the other was a change in habits. For protein deficiencies, I started to track my protein intake and then increase my dose of protein powder. And then once I mastered that, I started to look at ways where I could take out as much protein powder and put in lean sources of protein, whole food sources of protein. And then for sleep quality issues. So some nights I was wired at bedtime in the past, and then I adjusted when I started consuming caffeine, and that's played a big difference. So I try not to have caffeine, like coffee, after 2 p.m. And then I also made it a goal to not be on my phone past 8 p.m. And just those two things have really helped. And both of those things are free. And then, okay, I recently came across a page that's the 5 a.m. Club. So shout out to the Instagram is Outback Sheriffs. And then the tips and accountability that she provided to get people to bed and stop scrolling, as well as to get up early to get things done, has been so helpful for me. And I just I love her page, and it was very helpful. So I'm aiming. It's something I'm always working on as a new goal, but putting my phone away. For long periods of time, and then setting boundaries for my usage, and then reminding myself that scrolling does not help me in any of my goals right now. Sometimes I get on there for like creativity, but honestly, I feel like maybe I just need to put the phone down and I don't need inspiration. Like, I just need to be creative with the mind that God gave me and like what I want to post about, and hopefully it's helpful to you. So I'm kind of thinking more like that, because in the past I'm like, well, I'm going to get on Instagram and scroll and, maybe I'll get some inspiration. But once it's happening is I'm like, there might be one video like, oh, that's kind of cool. But then I don't really do anything with it. But yeah, that's the struggle. Okay. And then that is it. Yes, for this video. So the next video, we'll be talking about the difference between clear protein and whey protein, and then which one I recommend that you use.